Great minds think alike because Eric Bischoff and yours truly, Fog Wrestling, both believe that WWE NXT will be outperforming AEW Dynamite in the ratings by the end of this year. Welcome back, guys, to the channel. Easy. Eric has been speaking and he thinks it's going to be easy for NXT to start doing better numbers than Dynamite. Should this happen? No, it shouldn't happen because Dynamite is AEW's #1 show and NXT at the end of the day is the development show of WWE. And if you want to claim that it's a third brand, then so be it. But your point is still invalid because it's still the #1 show versus the #3 show. AEW should be miles ahead of this. And let's not forget, a certain Chris Jericho, a certain midlife, fat, out of shape, and a guy whose band absolutely sucks, Jericho, said 2 years ago that Dynamite would start beating Raw regularly in the ratings. And what has happened since then? AEW's viewership has went down. WWE Raw's viewership is like slightly increased. And it's further away than ever. It's like Raw is now double the viewership ahead of Dynamite.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I expected to happen. We all knew AEW was going to go down, right? And back to Fozzy. What's Fozzy done to make you say that? Has Fozzy done something pish or they just shite?
They never were good, you know what I mean?
No, there have a few couple of good... yeah, Jericho thinks he's like a jack of all trades, master of none. That's what Jericho is.
That's actually a good description of Jericho. He never quite were the #1 guy, Chris.
Yeah, and your podcast was good, but it wasn't quite Austin.
Fuck, you know what? Jericho's a guy that he's always been good and great, but he's never been the best.
No.
So,
But he did beat The Rock and Austin the same
night. That's pretty damn good, aye. That's to be fair, no one's really done better than that. So fair play, Chris Jericho. But yeah, you were wrong, we were right. Eric Bischoff was right. Well, I say right, we're not right yet because AEW hasn't lost to NXT in, I believe, well over 2 years. I think the last time NXT did better than AEW Dynamite was when it was in the black and gold era and they put on a takeover show or some shit like that on Wednesday night.
COVID takeover, damn it.
Yeah, it was some like takeover show, some like premium live event bonus show. But yeah, it's been a few years since we've seen NXT beat Dynamite, and albeit, yeah, even during the black and gold era, it wasn't beating it regularly, but it's closed the gap. The gap is now roughly about 70,000. And, I mean, this is massive compared to what it was. I mean, NXT for a while, they were struggling to do over 600,000. They were roughly doing about 550, 560, 570. That was their go-to thing. Dynamite, you know, were always around about the 1 million mark. That's how it kind of was working out at the start of the year. But we're now, like, halfway through the year. Dynamite, I think I've had 2 episodes this year that were above 1 million, or maybe it's 1. Might have been 2, maybe it's 1. I'll say 1. Whereas NXT has went from doing about 550 in viewership, and now over the past couple of months have been regularly doing above 700,000. So you can definitely see that NXT is going up, AEW Dynamite is going down, and if that trend continues, then sooner or later they're going to meet.
Yeah, they're going to have to meet in the middle, and NXT is the better show, isn't it?
I think so. NXT is a better show, but AEW has the so-called stars on it.
Yeah, and for anybody, I think it's a bit pathetic though that like the AEW fan base will hang on to the fact that they're doing better ratings than NXT just because NXT is now not considered developmental.
All it takes is McMahon to be like, right, next week I want my top 5 guys to go to NXT, and that's Dynamite screwed.
Yeah,
that's Dynamite out the water. All McMahon has to do, here Brock, I need you to show up in NXT next week and batter the Schism because I don't like them and they're fruits.
Fuck. Come on.
And that's NXT over 1 million. Anyway, this is what Bishop had to say.
Bishop?
Eric Bischoff. Bischoff, watching too much Minds MC. Anyway, Bischoff said, quote, I'm surprised we haven't seen it before this. I'm glad we're seeing it. I'm surprised we haven't. I think people have to remember NXT is a developmental organisation. It isn't WWE's biggest, brightest stars as it is with AEW. You see their top talent on the show regularly. NXT is a development company, and I wouldn't expect it to get the kind of ratings with people that are trying to become stars as it will get when it has people who are established stars on the show. Right now, arguably, Dominic Mysterio is probably not the hottest talent in WWE on the roster. He's still relatively young and new to the industry and building. He's probably in the bottom of the first inning in terms of his career, but he's pretty hot. Now you bring Ray in to support that story, to enhance that story. That's that's going on in the main roster and the main shows. Brilliant idea. I'm surprised we haven't seen it sooner, but I'm glad we are seeing it. I think if we continue to see it, I can see, in fact, I predicted it last year or early this year. I said at some point in time, NXT is going to outperform Dynamite. They're within about 100,000 viewers or less of doing that. I predicted it would happen this summer, and I'm going to stick with that. Let's get to work, guys. End of quote. Bishop fuck me.
Bishop, it's Bischoff!
Right.
It's Uncle Eric, mate, alright?
Uncle Eric comes across as very pro WWE, I think, in his podcast. It's almost like he's saying we. Let's stick to it, guys. Is he under a WWE Legends contract? I would imagine he might be.
But he's appeared in AEW quite a lot.
Doesn't mean shit, so did RVD.
RVD got permission, by the way. Did you know about that?
Did I? Anyway, no, Bischoff thinks that they're going to do it this summer. When does summer run it? When's summer officially end?
The 1st of September, which is 2 weeks away.
No, I don't know if they're going to do it by then, Eric. But I think they'll do it by the end of the year.
But maybe not. Americans are retarded, man. Maybe summer runs out in October, though.
The way this is why I think that NXT will be AEW Dynamite. Before we end the video, I'll lay it out pretty plain and obvious. AEW has done everything it can. AEW has brought in anybody relevant that was on a free agent or signed anybody relevant that had left WWE. They've pretty much played every single card they have. Now, of course, you've got the likes of Dwayne Johnson and Brock Lesnar, but that's just not realistic. You could argue Goldberg's an option, but he's not going to be a full-time guy. He would maybe come in and pop the rating for 1 week.
If they were going to get Goldberg, they'd have got him by now.
So, Dynamite, AEW's pretty much done everything it can, and the ratings are on the decline. NXT, their ratings are on the up, and let's be honest, they've only scratched the surface of what they can do. They brought the Judgment Day in for a couple of weeks, and they had Seth Rollins appear once for a World Heavyweight title match against Braun Breaker. If they really wanted at WWE the NXT ratings to go up, they could fucking absolutely load an edition of NXT. See if someone says to McMahon, if you get next week's viewership of NXT above 1 million, I'll give you like a $10 trillion. Are you telling me McMahon could not pack out that show?
Of course he could.
He could make it the best weekly show they've done in years. Like the way they do like the Raw like 25-year special. He could do that for an NXT. He could bring legend if he wants to. WWE have that option. If they really want NXT and the ratings to go up, they've got the power. What have AEW got? What can they do?
No power.
Let's say you ask McMahon the same question. Like you say to McMahon here, you need to get the ratings up over 1 million. McMahon, he's got so many different things he can do. Say to Tony Khan next week. What can Tony Khan do?
Absolutely hee-haw.
Probably book a live showdown between Punk and the Elite. That's probably the only thing they've got. And I don't think both parties would agree to it.
Which is embarrassing.
Because they're fucking shitebags. So, there you go, guys. I think Bischoff's right. I can see NXT beating AEW Dynamite. I think it's only a matter of time. I don't think it's going to happen this summer because that doesn't give them a lot of time to do it. But I do think it will happen this year. Even if it's just 1 week. I mean, numbers don't lie. NXT's going up. Dynamite's going down. You got to meet in the middle somewhere, buddy.
Got to meet in the middle, baby.
Anyway, guys, that's it. Fog Wrestling. Peace out.